कौन कहता है आसमां पे सुराख नहीं होता, कोई तबीयत से पत्थर तो उछालो यारो. And I'm sure you have heard these inspiring lines recently in the most popular aspirant. And if you believe in your vision and your vision, then you can firmly achieve anything. Well, folks, we have the honor to welcome the epitome of these lines. It gives me immense pleasure and honor to welcome IAS Prem Prakash Meena sir, Joint Magistrate SDM Chandoli, Banaras. He has attained brilliant success in Civil Service Examination 2017 and has secured 102 rank that ensures the post of IAS. And today he'll be joining us specially, to address you all on how you can utilize your rights, and also if you have a goal, if you want to prepare for something, then how you can attain that focus. We have the honor of having IAS Prem Prakash Meena sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your time to Isaac, for giving your time to Coca-Cola Presents Youth Speak Forum, and we can't wait to hear you. The stage is all yours, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, Amisha, and thank you, the entire team of Coca-Cola Youth Forum at ISAC for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with rest of the folks who are connected through this platform. So I think the topic which has been allotted to me, which is very interesting, which is how can youth utilize their rights to further their own development process or to realize their own potential. So how would you want to go about it? I mean, shall I just go ahead and start laying out my own thoughts, or would it be more question answer type, or?
Definitely, sir. So please, we are waiting to hear from you, and definitely towards the end, we can take some questions from the audiences.
Sure. Sounds good to me. So I think first of all, let me begin with when we say that the youth should actually utilize their rights to realize their own full potential. I would expand that a little bit. I would say the youth, and not only youth actually, anybody and everybody should be utilizing their rights right from their birth all the way down till they basically become senior citizens, to not only further their own development, but also to contribute towards society, also to further the development of nation building, also to further the development of the entire society as a whole. Let me start with a few examples out here. So for example, when I say rights, what kind of rights? They could be rights which you could categorize in multiple different ways. If you look back at our constitution, it has some fundamental rights. There are 6 of them, which is right to equality, right to free speech, right to life, right to privacy, etc., etc. Apart from the fundamental rights which are constitutionally granted to every citizen of this country, there are also other basic rights, rights which are granted through principle of natural justice. There could be rights which might be granted through different government policies. There might be rights which might be granted through court judgments, or there could be rights which might be granted through or ensured through government orders. So in my opinion, my experience, both while working in corporate sector before joining IAS or civil services back in 2017, I have had the privilege to work across more than 20 different countries in drilling industry with companies like Schlumberger, Shell, and British Petroleum. And now this is my third district. The first one was Basti and then Hathras, and now in Chandoli, which is near Banaras. My view is the moment one takes birth, right from the childhood, let's say if child is born, then he or she is born with a number of ill-built rights. For example, for a child, for a kid, the first and foremost right is the right to good health care, right to good child care. This is the foremost basic right which he or she has all the entitlement to enjoy. And so far, as a country, as a nation, that is an area wherein we have been struggling with. And that has led to underdevelopment or lack of development of not only of that individual, but also of his or her family, also of his or her next generation. And ultimately, that basically has a negative bearing on the development of the society, as well as negative bearing on the development of the nation. If you are not able to ensure good healthcare, good child care, good maternity care, then that basically leads to a number of negative impacts. Let's take an example, to basically corroborate this further. If we are not able to ensure protection of the rights of its children at the age or when he or she is just born, then this could actually lead to what we have been struggling with, it is skewed sex ratio. India's sex ratio stands at about 911. It means for every 1,000 males, there are only 911, females. And that leads to a skewed society. And there are states wherein this right has been violated more than the other ones. For example, if you look at Western Uttar Pradesh, we look at Haryana, we look at Rajasthan, we look at MP. There are some states in the south wherein this right has been violated more than others. So I think ensuring right to equality, whether it's a girl child, is a boy child, both should be treated equally, and both basically deserve protection of life. It means if it's a girl, because of the patriarchal mindset which has been running in our society for thousands of years, we start to neglect her. First of all, there is a want of a son child. And if a daughter is born, there are still large sections of the society wherein girl childs are not welcome. And when they basically get born, after their birth, their rights continue to get violated. Either they are not given proper attention, they are not given proper education, they are not given proper health. And because of that, if you look at India's statistics, 50% or more than 50% of females in India, a girl child in India, are anemic. Means they suffer from deficiency of iron. Why does that happen? Why does that not happen with boys? Simply because their rights have been violated, because they are not given nutritious food, their basic needs are not taken care of, and they are always discriminated against basically the boys. Similarly, when our kids start to grow, so these are the rights which needs to be ensured right at the very birth of any child, being it male or female. And when they start to enter their childhood, then a right to good education. 65% of India's population still resides in villages, and getting access to quality healthcare and getting access to quality education is still a dream which is yet to be realized. And because of that, majority of our children, particularly in rural areas, rural folks, they are forced to send their children to schools which are either, I would say, non-existent, do not have proper infrastructure, and even if they do have a proper building and everything else, the teachers will basically not come because it's a far-flung area somewhere in a little corner across the country. Or if the teachers are coming, they are not an adequate number, it's not properly equipped, and even if the teachers come, mark the attendance, they do not teach, or the effectiveness of their teaching techniques is not enough to ensure good learning outcomes. So in my view, right to education, particularly when we established this Act of Right to Education in 2005, means every children will be given admission, at least in the government schools, and they will be also supported with schemes like midday meal scheme, because that was considered to be a big hindrance when it comes to parents trying to send their children to the schools, because they used to think that we are not in a position to spare hands. We need these hands, these young hands, to help us in our domestic household work or in our agricultural needs. So government said we are going to give them free food, send them to school, at least get their enrollments right. So that has started to now protect to some extent the right to education of our children. If that right gets violated, the foundation of our children when it comes to education gets violated. And ultimately, who will be the end sufferer because of it? The individual, the family, the society, the nation. As also is the case, let's go back to the violation of rights of female kids. There have been so many cases of sexual assault, sexual harassment of our young girl children. And because to protect that for children until the age of 12 years, POCSO Act was basically enacted. And you will be very surprised, a lot of times when you think about sexual harassment or inappropriate touch or sexual assault, a lot of pictures might come to mind wherein we might think it could happen at workplace, it could happen in schools, it could happen in some other place by some stranger. But you'll be very surprised to know the statistics that in 85% of the cases, in fact, more than 85% of the cases, 85 to 90% of the cases, this violation of modesty or sexual assault or sexual harassment, particularly of the kids, does take place within their own premises by their own known either relatives, neighborhoods, or somebody in their vicinity. So that is, I think, a huge, huge violation of rights of our young girl children. So that is another classic example, and that can have a medium, long term, huge detrimental mental, physical impact on those children who basically get exposed to such kind of abuses, or who get exposed to such kind of violation of their rights. They have difficulties in comprehending the rest of their lives. They have difficulties in interacting with other people in the rest of the society. And ultimately, their own full-fledged development gets negatively impacted because of such violations. Now, let's go a step further, or let's kind of like, navigate through the next stage, which is adulthood. When it gets to adulthood, if you have to categorize rights, let me point at it could be social rights, it could be political rights, it could be economic rights. Let's start with social rights. Social rights could be that everybody needs to be treated equally. But are our citizens treated equally? There have been historical inequalities built into a society. Those could be based on religion, those could be based on caste, those could be based on class. And because of such inequalities, such biases, such inflexible attitude or discrimination in the society, a large section of our society gets to experience violation of their social rights. I still see in my day-to-day job as an IS officer, as an administrator, that particularly in the remote areas, the old age prevailing discriminatory practices are still prevalent. There are still pockets wherein people might not be allowed to go and drink water from certain wells. People might not be allowed to go and do funeral or last rites because they belong to a certain section, certain religion, certain caste, certain class of the society. These are violation of social rights. And they basically carry on from generation to generation to generation to generation. Similarly, political rights. Let's talk about the political rights of our citizens. You will be very surprised. I'll ask this question to the audience. What do you think will be the percentage of women legislatures, like member of parliaments or MLAs, member of legislative assemblies, on an average across the nation? So I think as per last survey, Indian Parliament had only 11% of its members, which is MPs or member of parliaments, as females. Let's look at Supreme Court. Supreme Court has a sanction strength of 31. That's being increased to now 34. Among 31 judges, there was only one female judge. 3 weeks back, 3 female judges were sworn in one go, and that was considered historic. It means the violation of right to equality continues to get violated because of gender biases in our society. And that has an impact on individuals. That will also have an impact on society and nation building. The reason I say that, because we do not have adequate representation of our female legislatures, both at center as well as states. The policies which get framed, they potentially might be subject to basically biases based on gender, because we might not have people who might give right kind of inputs, or people who might be able to bring out intricacies of what the gender biases could look like, and then could basically help the entire legislation process to ensure that there are no gender biases inbuilt in a legislation. Similarly, let's look at the armed forces. I think it was about a month back when Supreme Court finally put its foot down and said that you got to allow females to take the exam of the prestigious NDA, which is National Defense Academy. That is like the premium method of recruiting our army officers or defense forces officers. And for centuries, even in independent India, for almost like 7 decades, females were disallowed or their right to equality was violated because of the inbuilt patriarchal mindset that females are not fit for defense forces roles or for combat roles, etc. And Supreme Court said it's just a mindset game. You cannot continue to violate rights of our female soldiers or our female population. If they are interested to serve their nation and contribute towards nation building, how can you basically take that opportunity away just because they belong to a particular gender? So we talked about social inequalities, social violation of rights. We have talked about political violation of rights. Similarly, economic violations, if we talk about. Let's start with the general theme in Indian society. Even today, the reality of life is based on historical occupations, based on historical biases. A lot of economic rights are devoid or are not allowed to either different sections of the society or to our female folks. A lot of people, because they belong to a certain caste or religion, might find it difficult to realize their full potential because over centuries they were not allowed to get proper education and they were confined to certain menial jobs or occupations. Now that has started to change and that is good news, but I think we still have a long way to go. Similar is the case with when it comes to economic opportunities for our female folks. If you look at, for example, professional courses, in IITs, only 9% of the seats are filled by female folks. It means 91% of them are all males. And those are premier institutions. After graduating from IITs or IIMs, etc., then you get ahead and set up your own businesses or work in corporates, which ensures your own economic rights, financial rights, as well as that will then be connected to other rights such as education right, good health rights, getting a proper house, getting your children educated, supporting your parents, etc., etc. So that bedrock of a good household, that bedrock of a good society gets violated very early on. Similarly, not only in India, I mean, if you go outside, I've seen it across the spectrum in corporate sector, which they are trying to break now. This thing about glass ceiling, that even though by law, female folks needs to be promoted to the highest levels of basically corporate entities, but the reality is most times just to make numbers up, they are recruited, but then they are not allowed to rise beyond a certain position. So on paper, there is no discrimination, but the reality of the fact is there is a glass ceiling put on them beyond which they only few are basically able to get past that glass ceiling. Similarly, for a similar role, females get paid at least 33 to 35% less compared to their male counterparts. So that's again a violation of their economic rights. So guys, overall, violation of right could, for both males and females could start at very early age on, right from your birth, I would say, and it could just, carry on with the moment you basically go through your childhood, then adulthood, and then get into a profession, etc., etc. So I am very, very convinced, unless people are made aware of their rights, first of all, they should know that right to equality exists in this country. Similarly, right to privacy exists in this country. Similarly, just because you are from a particular caste or class or religion or from a particular sex, things can be discriminated with you. This notion needs to go away, both from the victim's mind as well as from people who have gotten used to basically imposing this kind of discrimination on people. Could be based on gender, could be based on religion, could be based on caste, could be based on economic class, I would say. Then only I think we as a country would be in a position to progress as a cohesive mass. Then only the individuals will feel empowered to realize their own full development potential. And when individuals progress, then societies progress. When societies progress, the nation automatically progress. Otherwise, just because of violation of a lot of these rights, we will be leaving large sections of a society who had a lot of potential unrealized. And ultimately, the individuals, those sections, those societies will suffer. But at the end of the day, it will be the entire nation who is going to be at the losing end of this. So that's pretty much from me, Amisha, when it comes to the topic and the theme, which is we need to ensure that people need to be aware of their rights. They need to exercise their rights. Then only they can ensure their own development. They can ensure development of their surroundings, their societies, and the nation.
Definitely, sir. Firstly, thank you so much for walking us through your ideologies and how exactly it is important, to address and understand these issues. Especially I, as a woman, I feel that it's very important, that these issues should be addressed in front of the youth. And thank you so much for addressing that. There is this one question that was there in my mind as well, and it's there in the chat as well. That what do you think is the major root cause of large pay gaps between men and women, like according to you, sir?
Well, I think it is the age-old mindset or patriarchal mindset, wherein if you go ancient times, historical times, for thousands of years, we have gotten used to the fact that females are better placed to take care of just the domestic chores and not so much the professional side of life. And I think it is taking a lot of effort and the change of mindset which got entrenched in your mind for hundreds of years. So similarly, it's like only males can do certain kind of jobs, and even if you get females into it, they wouldn't be that efficient or not that smart or not that clever. Females have constantly, time and time again, have proven that I would say obsolete patriarchal mindset wrong. And that's why now, thankfully, society has started to accept the fact that gender does not discriminate about intelligence or capabilities or potential. So it is the patriarchal mindset still exists, that son child is preferred still in large sections of the society. And very simple. किसी से बोलो have how about just having one child because education is difficult, this is difficult, that is difficult. And I say, yeah, if it's only one child, I would like to have a son, not a daughter. Unfortunately, that needs to change. That's changing. That has changed significantly in our metros and our cities. Slowly, that is also making inroads into our rural areas. And maybe 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, I think we'll be in a much better position.
Definitely, sir. Definitely, sir. I think we all are witnessing the changes that are there. I want you to take you back to your, days when you were preparing for civil services, sir. And I'm sure that a lot of the youth that are listening to us, that are witnessing your session, are preparing for civil services. So, what was it like? Like, can you just give us a little gist about like how was it, when you were preparing for it, and what keeps you like, what kept you consistent and motivated, because it is not one of the, it is the toughest एग्जाम, लाइक एक जीवन की कहते हैं ना एक इम्तिहान होता है सर, यूपीएससी सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए एक कहते हैं प्रतीक्षा, एक हर मोड़ पे इम्तिहान ले रहा होता है आपका, चाहे भगवान हो चाहे आपके आसपास के लोग हों. सो कैसा था सर वो जो एक्सपीरियंस, तो थोड़ा बताइए सर.
Well, for me, मेरे लिए बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग इसलिए रहा क्योंकि initially I did not have this idea in my mind कि civil service जाना है. But after working abroad in US and Australia and Dubai and Russia and a lot of other fancy places, there's always this thought कि अब life को यही करते जाना है, where you're making money, traveling and maybe buying a new house every year, या फिर कुछ और करना है लाइफ के साथ, which could be more impactful, जहाँ पे आप ग्राउंड पे जाके कुछ काम कर सको, अपनी सोसाइटी के लिए कुछ कर सको, नेशन बिल्डिंग में कंट्रीब्यूट कर सको. So with that thought, 2014 में we decided to quit our corporate sector job. और when we were deliberating about it, so everybody said कि अरे इतने साल हो गए पढ़ाई छोड़े हुए, बहुत मुश्किल एग्जाम है, as you just said. पता है कि कलेक्टर बनना कितना मुश्किल होता है. And I was like, fine, let's give it a try. कम से कम लाइफ में ये तो नहीं रहेगा, कोशिश नहीं की, नहीं बनेंगे फिर है ना, बट कम से कम ये तो होगा कि एक मन था एक्सपीरियंस लेने का, और कोशिश की, उसके बाद फेल हो गए, कुछ और कर लेंगे. सो विद दैट वी मूव्ड बैक टू इंडिया इन 2015. पहला अटेम्प्ट दिया, एंड इट वाज वेरी टफ क्योंकि गॉट सेटल्ड अब्रॉड इन ए वेरी डिफरेंट लाइफस्टाइल, और उसके बाद लॉस्ट टच विद स्टडीज ऑफ कोर्स. And IAS, because the syllabus is so huge, you can just prepare for all your life and still you'll feel कि अभी तो रह गया. In fact, today is a very interesting day क्योंकि आज pre का exam भी है IAS का और UPSC का. It just got conducted, which has become very unpredictable. But I was very clear in my mind कि it does not matter who says what. this is something I want to try. My family supported, and of course there were different views in my family too. कुछ लोग कह रहा था ठीक है करना चाहिए, मन है तो, कुछ लोग कह रहा था कि क्या मतलब है, I mean, और कई लोगों का सर्विसेज को लेके भी डिफरेंट व्यूज होता है कि सब लोग तो बन जाते हैं, उसके बाद करप्ट हो जाते हैं, ये हो जाता है, वो हो जाता है, तो बन के भी क्या ही कर लोगे टाइप. सो इट वाज वन ऑफ दोस थिंग्स कि चलो एक बार बना तो जाए, और फिर जितना खुद से होगा कोशिश की जाए. You might not be able to change the entire society and nation, but at least little bit that delta you might be able to do, maybe to a very small percentage of population. तो उनके लिए तो किया जाए. So then got settled in Delhi and of course started to prepare. और शुरू में it was very tough, reading history and reading geography. कौन राजा कहाँ, किसने कौन सी लड़ाई की, कौन सी जगह क्या है, कौन सा बैटल हुआ, इकोनॉमी पढ़ना, करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ना. But then I think within a month or two I got into rhythm ki so this is what the game is. So starting I joined a coaching institution, and within first 2 months I had this realization ki coaching institutions are nothing but scandal. मतलब कुछ पढ़ाते बढ़ाते ज़्यादा है नहीं. It's all about self study, your own comprehension, and also the fact ki, I mean, if you are basically vying for such an important position, you should have that basic inbuilt capability in yourself to assess the situation yourself and to utilize your own potential to realize what you truly want to do. क्योंकि जब उस कुर्सी पे बैठ जाओगे तब कौन सी कोचिंग दोगे, है ना? तो तब तो खुद को ही करना है, समझना है, कुछ करोगे, कुछ फेल होगे, फिर कुछ सीखोगे, फिर कुछ आगे बढ़ोगे. So with that, पहला अटेम्प्ट दिया, got IRS income tax, and 3 महीने बाद after 3 months subsequent attempt got IAS proper. और very interesting cadre, उत्तर प्रदेश got allotted, जहाँ हर दिन कुछ ना कुछ, it is such a massive cadre. 75 districts, and it has its own colors and history and complexities, I would say. And UP is not a cohesive mass. Western UP is very different, Eastern is very different. Bundelkhand alag, Rohilkhand alag. So UP is not exactly UP. UP you could divide into 3 different states because it's so humongous, 25 crore population. So, but anything happens anywhere, it's like UP, UP, UP. But just imagine UP is equivalent to you mix or you club राजस्थान, दिल्ली, पंजाब एंड एमपी. 4 स्टेट्स को आप मिला लोगे तब यूपी के बराबर, और you'll come close to UP. So कोई भी चीज होगी तो एक सिंगल नाम आएगा यूपी, वहां कुछ होगा. So I'm not trying to protect or defend anything, but this is my experience over the last 3 years. So that's why UP also had its own aura and its image, both positive, negative, whichever way you want to understand. But also, this brings in a lot of opportunity. Because there are issues, it means there is a tremendous opportunity to get things right, to do something which will basically probably change the image for good. So that's how I have taken it. And so far, it's been 2.5 years. My experience has been extremely fulfilling, both in terms of the service, plus the kind of support you get from your seniors. Even, people have this perception about maybe political representatives from my state. But the reality is, more than 80% of the even public representatives are very, very cooperative as long as you engage them when it comes to development work. यहाँ पे घर बनना है, यहाँ ब्रिज बनना है, यहाँ पे बिजली का इशू सॉल्व होना है, यहाँ पे राशन नहीं जा रहा है, यहाँ रसोई गैस नहीं पहुंच रही है, स्कूल में इश्यूज हैं. So people in general, I think the mindset is changing even in Eastern UP. Right now, I am posted in one of the most backward districts, not only in UP, but across the country. It is an aspirational district. It means it is one of the most backward districts. There are 104 districts which have been categorized as special districts by NITI Aayog, and this is one of them. Because यहाँ पर tribal population बहुत है, backwardness बहुत है. Naxalism used to be a huge issue here. And I got posted and I felt very privileged. And a lot of people said कि अरे कहाँ वहाँ जंगलों में चला गया, and I'm like, that's great. है ना, क्योंकि पहले तो हम सब भी ज्ञान देते हैं जब यूपीएससी के इंटरव्यू के लेके जाते हैं कि सब देश की सेवा करना चाहता हूँ और आई वांट टू डू दिस एंड आई वांट टू डू दैट. एंड वंस यू गेट इनटू सर्विस फिर बोलते हैं सर लखनऊ पोस्टिंग दे दीजिए, दिल्ली, नोएडा, गाजियाबाद पोस्टिंग दे दीजिए, कहाँ गाँव में भेज रहे हो. तो दैट्स नॉट फेयर, राइट? आई मीन दैट्स नॉट व्हाट यू सेड. और फिर यहाँ कौन आएगा? Because these places need good officers, direct officers, young officers more than places wherein things are already developed. अब नोएडा में जाके मैं क्या ही कर लूंगा? It's all there. सड़क है, बिजली है, पानी है, flats हैं. यहाँ पे people need that. So so that has been very satisfying. मतलब there have been thousands of people, चाहे law and order हो, land disputes हो, housing related issues हो, electricity नहीं पहुंच रही है. बहुत सारे ऐसे एरियाज जहाँ आज भी हमको बोट से जाना पड़ता है because there are no roads. they get flooded during monsoons particularly, so you have to hire a small dinghy, sit in that and go and distribute ration and all of that. So people sitting in big metros, and I because I myself used to stay in probably the biggest of the cities across the world, and you come to this place which is another extreme, you are like, wow, abhi bhi aisi jagah hai. So a lot of opportunity to work, and I'm glad I took that decision, और भगवान ने support किया, so that's where we are.
So it feels really grateful, कि आपको ऐसे सुनने का मौका मिल रहा है, and definitely जो भी चीज़ आपने एड्रेस करी है, it will definitely एक नई सोच, मुझे लगता है लोगों को एक नई डायरेक्शन मिलेगी, जो लोग स्पेशली प्रिपेयर कर रहे सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए. 1 मिनट और लूंगी इस चीज़ में आगे पूछने के लिए. जो प्रिपरेशन का टाइम था, उसमें अगर आप एक लाइन में या फिर कम उसमें बोला जाए कि क्या सबसे ज्यादा की इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है जो माइंड में रखनी है while preparing for civil services, वो क्या है आपके अकॉर्डिंग?
Yes, मैं 2 चीजें कहूंगा उसमें. I think those will be probably the bedrock of anything you do in life. पहली बात, दूसरों से ज्ञान नहीं लेना है. लोग बोलेंगे कि ये बहुत टफ है, 5 साल लग जाते हैं, पहले अटेम्प्ट में तो सिर्फ सिलेबस ही समझ में आता है, इसका एग्जाम्पल देंगे, उसका एग्जाम्पल देंगे. दिस इज एन वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जाम. It does not necessarily test you on your 2+2 capability की मैथ्स में कौन अच्छा है, फिजिक्स में कौन अच्छा है, हिस्ट्री में कौन अच्छा है. It just tests you on your analytical ability. Are you able to connect dots? Are you able to understand the impact of certain things on the entire society? कि farmers पे क्या impact होगा, बच्चों पे क्या impact होगा, females पे क्या impact होगा, rural population पे क्या impact होगा, cities पे क्या impact होगा. And also the fact, अच्छा, उस चीज को समझने के बहुत सारे तरीके हो सकते हैं. So if you are good at math, for example, आप JEE का एग्जाम दोगे बीटेक करने के लिए, तो 2+2 will always be 4, no matter who does that calculation, but not in UPSC exam, because there could be 100 different ways of understanding a thing. तो हो सकता है आपको बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल दें कि शर्मा जी का लड़का तो 5 साल से दे रहा है, वर्मा जी का लड़का तो 6 साल से दे रहा है, गुप्ता जी का लड़का तो ये कर गया, वो कर गया. Discard all of that. You are different, you are unique, you have your own capabilities. हो सकता है कि जो वर्मा जी का लड़का 5 साल में नहीं कर पा रहा हो, वो आप पहले अटेम्प्ट में कर दें. ये भी हो सकता है कि जो गुप्ता जी के लड़के ने पहली बार किया, हो सकता है आप 5 साल बाद भी ना कर पाए. We all are unique. So just focus. Just be clear-headed about your own objectives, your own passion, your own goals. यार मुझे नहीं इससे लेना देना कि दूसरों को कितना टाइम लगता है, क्यों लगता है, क्या करते हैं. मुझे मेरा करना है. So that's point number 1. Because that will ensure that you stay focused. This is a tough exam, no doubt about it. बहुत टाइम लग जाता है लोगों को, and it's very exhausting because there are 3 stages. पहले आप प्री दोगे, उसमें आप क्लियर कर पाए तो फिर आप मेंस दोगे, उसमें क्लियर कर पाए तो फिर आप इंटरव्यू दोगे. मान लीजिए इंटरव्यू की लास्ट स्टेज पे जाके आपका सिलेक्शन नहीं हुआ या ऐसी रैंक आई विच यू आर नॉट हैप्पी अबाउट, देन यू विल हैव टू गो थ्रू द एंटायर थिंग ऑल ओवर अगेन. दैट्स वेरी वेरी पेनस्टेकिंग, क्योंकि लाइक फिर से पढ़ो प्री के लिए, फिर से पढ़ो, सारी बुक्स फिर उठाओ जिसको आप पहले कलर कर चुके होंगे, अंडरलाइन कर चुके होंगे, एंड यू विल बी लाइक, ओ माय गॉड, ये तो इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ, इट्स अ मेंटल गेम. It's a mental game. People get very tired, very exhausted, and it becomes so routine. And just think, I prepared for it for almost a year, and for the entire year, I don't remember even a single day जब मैंने छुट्टी ली हो या आराम किया हो या कहीं चला गया हूँ. Every single day, सुबह 11 बजे उठना, रात को 2 बजे सोना, सुबह 11 बजे उठना, रात को 2 बजे सोना, कुछ नहीं जाना, कहीं नहीं जाना, कोई फंक्शन नहीं, कोई शादी नहीं, कोई होली नहीं, कोई दिवाली नहीं, कोई फैमिली नहीं, कुछ नहीं, कोई पिक्चर नहीं. So that is the kind of game it is. So it can actually burn you out very quickly. So, लेकिन if you are very clear in your mind कि मुझे करना है, no matter who says what, point number 1. And point number 2, मुझे लगता है कि ये गेम इस चीज से ज्यादा कि क्या पढ़ना है, I think this is more about क्या नहीं पढ़ना है. Because the market is flooded with so many different sources, and everybody will be pulling you in their own different sweet directions. कि नहीं, ये वाली बुक अच्छी है, ये कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन खुल गया है, इसके नोट्स आ गए हैं, एंड एवरीबडी इज लाइक या ये भी देखा जाए, ये भी देखा जाए, कहीं मैं पीछे तो नहीं रह जाऊंगा दूसरों से. एंड आई थिंक दैट्स अ ट्रैप, बिकॉज एक सिंगल सोर्स को ही कवर करना, इतने सारे सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, and the syllabus is so humongous, it covers almost everything which is under the sun, history हो, geography हो, ancient history हो, economy हो, environmental sciences हो, क्या नहीं है इसके सिलेबस में. तो पहले आप ज्यादा इधर भागने की बजाय शुरुआत में डू स्मार्ट वर्क, फाइनलाइज योर बुक लिस्ट कि सिर्फ ये 20 किताबें 15 किताबें ही हैं जो मैं पढ़ूंगा. and then I'll put my blinkers on. घोड़े नहीं होते जिनके यहाँ लगा देते हैं, and then you just run straight. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically get into my tunnel vision mode. कोई मुझे कितना भी बीच में एंटाइज करे कि नहीं ये वाली नहीं ये वाली, मैं I'm not going to change. और उसकी एक सिंगल लाइन, मेरी बड़ी फेवरेट लाइन में, which I generally share with people, कि एक बुक को 10 बार पढ़िए, 10 अलग अलग बुक्स को एक बार पढ़ने। So just pick and choose. First be clear कि ये मेरा source होगा, ये मेरा book होगा, and that's what I'm going to read again and again and again and again. So that actually gets imprinted in my head. मैं अलग अलग सोर्स के पीछे भागता जाऊंगा, वो समराइज ही नहीं हो पाएगा, वो कॉम्प्रीहेंड ही नहीं हो पाएगा लास्ट में, वो मतलब आप कलेक्टिवाइज नहीं कर पाओगे उसे, तो एग्जाम हॉल में आप रिप्रोड्यूस नहीं कर पाओगे, यू गेट वेरी कंफ्यूज। आप एक ही सोर्स को पढ़ोगे तो आपको इतना तक याद हो जाएगा किस बुक के किस पेज के किस तरफ किस कोने में इसकी इंफॉर्मेशन थी, मतलब दिस इज आवर मेंटल बेसिकली मैथ्स वर्क। सो ये दो चीजें मैं कहूंगा, बाकी तो बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हो सकते हैं यूपी से रिलेटेड कि ऑप्शनल कैसे चूज किया जाए, ये क्या किया जाए, वो क्या किया जाए, उनके बहुत एलैबोरेट आंसर्स आपको यूट्यूब पे मिल जाएंगे, मेरे खुद के चैनल पे मिल जाएंगे। बट दो अंडरलाइंग चीज, पहली बात, गुप्ता जी ने, वर्मा जी ने, शर्मा जी ने, मीना जी ने क्या किया डज नॉट मैटर, मुझे करना है। और दूसरी बात, सोर्सेज के पीछे नहीं भागना है, स्मार्टली पहले अपना सोर्स लिस्ट क्लियर करो एंड स्टिक टू इट, डोंट गेट डाइवर्टेड इन बिटवीन।
Sir, thank you so much firstly for sharing that. And मुझे ऐसा लगता है जितनी भी टिप्स आपने बताई है, ये IAS की प्रिपरेशन के अलावा भी कोई भी अगर लाइफ में गोल है, हमें अगर फोकस चाहिए, उसके लिए इट विल लाइक वर्क ऑफ कोर्स, क्योंकि एक फर्म फोकस होना और अपने दिल की सुनना बहुत मुश्किल होता है, लेकिन अगर आप ये करते हैं तो एक रास्ता आपका जो होता है वो बहुत लंबा हो जाता है और सारे ऑब्स्टिकल्स बहुत छोटे लगने लग जाते हैं। तो थैंक यू सो मच सर फर्स्टली फॉर गिविंग योर टाइम, for mentioning all the tips and for mentioning your ideologies. We really want to thank you for that, and also it has brought a change in all our minds, I feel like, and we'll be more responsible towards whatever we are perceiving. But thank you sir, and thank you for being a part of ISAC.
Well, thank you Amisha, and thank you Team ISAC in Coca-Cola Youth Speak Forum. It was a pleasure having this conversation, and all the very best for the future sessions. Thank you.
Thank you sir.